Jason R. Forgy, Jasonrforgey.
Did you search or perform a search of any sort with Garris prior to going to the subject vehicle?
I swept a car which was on the west side of the subject vehicle, the white Pontiac. Yes.
Okay. Why did you do that?
I'm guessing it was probably because of training. I just swept the car real fast in front of it, and that's what we've always done in training, is there's always multiple vehicles there. I've never run into it in the real world situation. So I just took him out, swept the next car right next to it, and then went right to the subject vehicle.
So explain to the members of the jury the sweep that you did of the vehicle once it was moved outside.
I swept the blue vehicle to the right and then immediately went over to the vehicle in question, swept it in a counterclockwise manner. So from driver's side, front bumper area, down the driver's side, around the rear of the vehicle, and then back down the passenger side.
There are such things as false alerts, right?
Yes.
Okay. The dogs are not infallible.
They are not perfect, no.
Okay. Based on your training, you did a vehicle lineup.
Yeah, I swept another vehicle next to it. Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you videotape this fine?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you not have a video camera available?
I'm sure there was one available.
But being as that you knew which car there was, you didn't think it would be advantageous to the jury or anyone to see if there were any cues that you were giving off to the dog?
If we could have predicted where we are today, it would have been videotaped. But it's not a common practice saying to videotape your real searches.
This is written by Andy Rebman.
Yes, sir.
The person who you trained under at the school in Sarasota.
In 05 and 06.
Yes. Are you familiar with the section that recommends that you videotape the lineups?
It's a recommendation that he offers, yes, sir.
And you're familiar with the portion that says this videotape, that the court may allow the videotape to be shown in court for the jury?
Correct.
You knew there was no body in the car?
At that time, correct.
So whatever you did would be scrutinized later, at a later time, would it not?
It's possible.
And despite all of that, of course, you chose not to videotape the scent lineup.
I don't have anything in my regulations, my policies, or procedures that refer that I have to do these things.
Is that a drawing that you drew?
Yes, sir.
And that was in testimony in a prior hearing in this case on March 24th, 2011?
I believe that's the date. 3/24/2011.
And what that depicts is the forensics bay garage and Miss Anthony's vehicle and another vehicle?
Correct.
Okay.
It's a rough drawing, not to scale, like I said in the hearing.
And do you show, or did you testify, that there were two cars in which you deployed your dog, Garris?
Correct.
And did you testify that the other car is someone else's car? It's unknown to you whose car that was?
Correct.
And did you testify it was a blue car?
I said I believe it was a blue car.
Did you get it? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That was my quote. I believe it was a blue car.
Okay. And when you began deploying your dog, you started with that unknown car?
Correct.
Okay. And you knew that the white Pontiac Sunfire was Miss Anthony's car?
I knew it was a car in question. I didn't know whose car it was.
Okay. Is there anyone that can corroborate that a second car was there? Were there any witnesses that saw you deploy your dog on this car?
Yes.
A rope.
Okay. Who else saw you deploy your dog on these two cars?
My canine supervisor at the time, which was Mike Carden, was my corporal.
Who else?
I never say his name correctly. The forensic tech, Geraldo.
Loisy?
I believe so.
Okay. Who else?
I believe Mike Vinson was there also, but I'm not sure.
Who else?
That's all I recall.
There's no reason why you deployed your dog on this other car who you do not know who it belongs to.
I just wanted to make sure his mindset was correctly.
Okay.
That's it. Just started working him, running him around another vehicle, just make sure his mindset's settled in, calm, and go right to my car in question.
And it has nothing to do with your training, which tells you you should have multiple cars that way it would prevent handler bias.
Training is different than a real world scenario, because a real world scenario, you're not going to have, generally, you're not going to have the opportunity to have a second vehicle there. In training, of course, you can do that. I believe that's why I did it this time, because it happened to be there. In that lot, there's a lot of vehicles out there, but this is the only ones that we were questioning. But in that lot, I mean, there's trailers, there's cars, there's all kinds of stuff.
Michael Vincent, Vincent.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Mr. Vincent, I'd like you to look at Defense Exhibit EJ for a moment. Is that a drawing that you drew at an earlier hearing in this case?
Yes, sir.
And is that a drawing of the forensics bay garage and Miss Anthony's car?
Correct.
Did you testify that there was only one car that was deployed by Deputy Forgy?
Yes.
Mr. Bloisy, I'd like to show you Defense Exhibit EL. Is that a drawing that you testified to at an earlier hearing in March of this case?
Yes.
And does it show a drawing of the forensics bay and Miss Anthony's car?
Correct.
And did you testify that there was only one car that the canine cadaver dog handler deployed his dog on?
Correct.
Bloisy, as a crime scene investigator, your job is to focus on the details, are you not?
Yes.
In fact, down to the very minute details.
Yes.
Were there any witnesses that saw you deploy your dog on this car?
Yes.
Rope.
Okay. Who else saw you deploy your dog on these two cars?
My canine supervisor at the time, which was Mike Carden, was my corporal.
Who else?
I never say his name correctly. The forensic tech, Geraldo.
Loisy?
I believe so.
Okay. Who else?
I believe Mike Vinson was there also, but I'm not sure.
Who else?
That's all I recall.